Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And Cafe Kubal is there with you on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, inside of their double-decker cafe on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location of North Syracuse. I am very honored and very appreciative of all of the 6 schools that will be joining the American Athletic Conference, coming via Conference USA and into the American on July 1st of 2023. We will see the American Athletic Conference have more football teams than it's ever had, with 14 member schools, and they will have 15 schools overall. One of those 6 new schools coming in, UNC Charlotte, and I am very happy for the first time ever to welcome their Director of Athletics, Mike Hill, to the show. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dan. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And Mike, I mean, UNC Charlotte, it's been special, right? There's been a lot of movement. There's been a history of moving the football program up and moving really this entire school to that level of Division I push and Division 1A for football, and then into Conference USA, and then the shift to the American. For those that don't know, bring us through the history of UNC Charlotte, because it's a history of reaching a bunch of significant points, but I also want to commend UNC Charlotte on the fact that it may seem long on your end, but on my end, it seemed like this is a school that's been constantly moving upward.
Well, it is quite a story. This program really was founded, I think, was rooted in basketball success. The program is a young university and a young athletics program, relatively speaking, and the athletic program enjoyed, really, one of the pinnacle moments in its history very early on in 1977 when Cedric Maxwell, who went on to have a great NBA career, led the 49ers to the Final Four and a heartbreaking loss to Marquette at the buzzer. And that was really the beginning of something very, very special here in this community, in this campus, and a love affair that it has with basketball. And, of course, a very successful basketball program into, the 90s and into the 2000s, multiple NCAA tournament bids, and a lot of excitement around that. But, of course, there was no football here.
Yeah,
and football was a sport that had been bandied about for many years, as I'm told and as I understand. And there was a push actually in the late 2000s, right before the economic crash, that really sort of stalled the conversation. And what you saw happen was really a lot of our fellow conference mates, the Memphises of the world, others that had football, moved on to other leagues, whereas we didn't have football here. And so that kind of held the program back for a little while until the campus made the decision to start football. And 2013 was the first season of competition. And so, look, we're getting ready to start our 10th season of football here. And to think that, we're already at a point where we're getting ready to join, one of the premier conferences in the country, in the American Athletic Conference. It's a pretty remarkable journey for sure, and we're thrilled to be a part of it.
Yeah, and you bring that up, starting football in 2013 and going into 10 years where some of these schools have been playing for decades upon decades. When you saw the Memphises of the world, like you said, move forward and change their conference, and they could do it football related and whatnot, and obviously you joined the American Athletic a while ago, when you were seeing the evolution of the Charlotte 49ers, is it imperative, to you, that this had to happen? Because I know you took over in 2018, so 5 years after the move was made, but when you look back on it, was this a must for UNC Charlotte to start that football program and start to develop that into a place where you could add it into your portfolio if and when a move came?
There's no question that it was critical to the long-term viability and success of this athletics program. Obviously, without a football program, we would not be in the American. For that matter, we wouldn't be in Conference USA currently. And so I think that it was a really wise decision by the leadership of the institution at that time. And I know a lot of inputs were provided to campus in making that decision before ultimately they did make that decision. And I think it's a decision that was in the end, the right one for sure for this place. And so now we have a program that is building and has great momentum. We see capacity crowds at our facility now. Interestingly, our facility was built 10 plus years ago for an FCS football program, because that's what this was going to be for a while. And then before Charlotte played it down to football, there was some conference realignment, and Conference USA extended an invitation to Charlotte before Charlotte had ever even played a game. And so suddenly you went from going to play FCS to suddenly jumping into an FBS league. And so, fortunately, the stadium was built and designed to be expanded very easily. They're wide open concourses, and we have designs and plans to go up and add seating for our fans and for corporate Charlotte and for our supporters and donors, and get our capacity up. But it's really remarkable growth. I was speaking to another university president here recently at a school in the ACC, and his comment to me was, he said, "Mike, when I became president of my school 10 years ago, you guys didn't even have a football team, and now you're going to be in the American." He said, "That is incredible."
Yeah, and that, like you said, I mean, you're looking at a decade ago, there was no football program, and now you're joining the American Athletic Conference and very close with the AAC and the ACC. And so, when you look at that and you hear that, and like you said, you were built to be an FCS program, a Division I AA, and before you know it, you get called up because realignment 10 years ago, right, needed help. So at the time you're building your football program, perfect timing, because a decade ago, the world of collegiate athletics was going a little crazy. And now a decade later, you're a part of a movement again. What are your thoughts about bookending that and saying our football program is going to be 10 years old, and within those 10 years has been the giant realignment that you were a part of, and now another potentially even more gigantic realignment that you're a part of. So in only 10 years of time, Charlotte has been a part of two of the biggest shockwaves of collegiate athletics.
Well, we really have, and it's fascinating to watch, conference realignment, and of course realignment has been occurring since the dawn of time in college athletics. I mean, you go back into the early 1900s, and leagues, you had large leagues, these mega conferences, and they splintered and became smaller leagues. And so that's just a part of the cadence of college athletics. But I think, a summer ago, when Oklahoma and Texas made the announcement that they were going to join the SEC, I think all of us here realized that this could be a great opportunity, knowing that there was a strong possibility that there would be some shifting as the Big 12 looked to replace those two schools, and that's exactly what occurred. And so, but look, as much as anything, I think for us strategically, this move made a ton of sense for us, because this is a league that features a lot of schools that are former conference colleagues of ours. And in addition to that, these are largely urban-based universities in this conference, with one exception, and the one exception is East Carolina University, which provides us an in-state rival. So, across the board, it's just a league that is the perfect fit for us. And we know we are certainly an up-and-coming program when it comes to football, but, we're excited about the overall strength and momentum of our athletic program, and our university is the fastest-growing institution in the entire UNC system, and in a city that's absolutely exploding with opportunity. So we're thrilled to be a part of it.
Speaking here with the Director of Athletics of UNC Charlotte, Mike Hill, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Mike, why do you feel that UNC Charlotte was so desirable 10 years ago in realignment, and why so desirable over these last few years, and I should say really most recently here, to make that move to the American Athletic Conference? Because these rumblings come up, behind the scenes before they're physically in front of everybody. But why do you think that UNC Charlotte has been in the spotlight as a team to take and put in FBS 10 years ago, and then a team to bring into the American? What makes UNC Charlotte so special, in your opinion?
Well, I think there are a number of factors. There's no doubt that the strength of this institution and the rapid ascent that we have seen here in terms of enrollment growth. And if you visit our campus, I think you would see very, very quickly, you would understand the interest in this institution being a part of a league. It's an absolutely gorgeous campus with green space and red brick everywhere. The football stadium is right in the center of campus, beautifully set. Our facilities show very, very well. And then again, we're part of a larger community in the city of Charlotte that is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. So you've got the fastest growing university in the state of North Carolina in one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and that adds up to tremendous opportunity, right? And so I think it's all of those factors, and certainly for us, what played into it this last go around were all of those factors: the geography, the growth of the institution. We have over 30,000 students now. I think almost 75% of our students now live either on campus or within a mile of campus in an apartment complex. So it's a significant residential campus now that's part of the UNC system. And again, fastest growing in the state when you compare us to all the other schools in the state right now, and the second largest undergraduate enrollment in the state behind NC State. So it's just an absolute jewel in a city that is an amazing place. And I think, beyond that, the conference certainly saw the strength in our institution's leadership. Our chancellor, Dr. Gaber, has done a tremendous job of leading our university, and her predecessor, Phil Dubois, really have made a point to emphasize athletics in an appropriate way to help grow the institution.
And seeing this be what it is, I mean, you came in 2018, February 28th of 2018, and becoming the 7th director of athletics for UNC Charlotte. What in your life made sense at that time that this is where you wanted to be and this made sense? I know you have a connection. I know you went to UNC at Chapel Hill, so I know you have that connection there. I know that you went to the first ever Charlotte Hornets basketball game. I know you're a Carolina Panthers fan, and I know that 1977, Final Four against Marquette and the Charlotte 49ers was something that you celebrated with your grandparents. So I know that you've been quoted as saying that this is personal for you. You grew up in Clemson, South Carolina, went to school, like I said, at UNC at Chapel Hill. So with that maybe being some information for people that are listening and watching to understand about you going into it, what was it about UNC Charlotte specifically that made you feel this is the fit?
Well, it was absolute perfect fit professionally and personally for me, and that really mattered, as I was at a place for a really long time, University of Florida, which is one of the premier athletic programs and universities in the nation, and I was not looking to leave the University of Florida for just any opportunity. But this one really seemed to fit all the criteria that I was looking for. First of all, I saw unbelievable potential for professional growth, to finally have an opportunity to lead an athletics program on a campus where athletics and the institution had a great synergy and appreciation and support for one another. There was clear alignment with the leadership on campus, and that's critical if you're going to be successful as an AD. You've got to have leadership with your chancellor and with your board of trustees and with the senior leadership on campus. That was present. And I felt like the foundation had been built by my predecessor, Judy Rose, and the staff here to really come in and be able to have great success and build upon that. And so professionally, it just made all the sense in the world. And then the personal reasons you just alluded to, my parents grew up in Charlotte. I have family in Charlotte. So this was sort of almost an epicenter for the region that I grew up in. I was in Charlotte a lot as a kid, and so I've always loved this city and loved this area, for a number of reasons. In fact, when I was at the University of Florida about 9 years ago, I bought a mountain home in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, which is less than 2 hours from Charlotte. So the Carolinas are in my heart for sure. And this made all the sense in the world for me and for my family from a professional and a personal sense.
And when you have, like you said, the Carolinas in your heart, UNC Charlotte has that history to be made in so many areas, including football. And we spoke about basketball and what they've done in men's basketball has been incredible. The Final Four against Marquette in 1977, Sweet 16 appearance also in that same year. Been to the NCAA tournament in 1977, 88, 92, 95, 97, 98, 99, 2001, 2, 4, and 5. There's more to be had, though, right? And there's almost 20 sports that you have that are being played there in competition, almost 20 different opportunities at UNC Charlotte. So what history is to be made? What are you most excited about the UNC Charlotte grand look at athletics?
Well, I think that we have an opportunity to be excellent in every sport that we sponsor, and I sincerely mean that. And it's a goal of ours. This is an athletics department. It's not just about one sport. And while we all understand that football and basketball sort of drive the train, right, in terms of revenues and fan interest and media interest, we care about all of our sports. And last year we won a school record 5 Conference USA championships. It was the most league titles in our school's history. That was after the previous year setting a record with 4 conference titles. And we were just within a hair of winning 2 more last year on the men's and women's tennis side. So, what I see here is tremendous potential that we're just starting to realize. Again, we've got a young football program, but a program that, went to its first ever bowl game a couple of years ago under Coach Healy. Last year, we beat our first ever team from the Autonomy 5. We defeated Duke out of the ACC. First time we ever hosted a school from that grouping of teams. We've got another one on board this year. Maryland will be coming in. So I think, there's still tremendous opportunity for growth with our football program. Men's basketball here, again, was sort of the bell cow for a long, long time. It is we are rebuilding right now, and I know our fans are a little tired of rebuilding, but the reality is when I got here, the team had won 6 games and lost 15 of 16 the previous year, and we hired Ron Sanchez, who was the associate head coach at the University of Virginia under Tony Bennett. And Ron has done a great job of bringing in really high-level talent. Last year, in year 4, we won 17 games, and we're climbing the mountain, as Ron likes to say, to get back to the top. And I love the look of our team coming into the coming year. So, love to see basketball get back to where it's a regular championship contender, an NCAA tournament contender, get football to where it's competing for bowl bids every year, and then just look at the overall excellence of our athletics program that we believe we can build and maintain.
Speaking here with UNC Charlotte Director of Athletics Mike Hill on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Mike, for you, why the American? You've said a lot of positive things about it, as you've alluded to it throughout our conversation here this morning. What is it about the American Athletic Conference that you believe is a step up, a step forward? What do you like about what they've done in 9 going on almost 10 years now?
I think it's an amazing story. If you look at the origin of the league and the membership and the job that all of those schools have done, along with the leadership of the conference office and Commissioner Oresco, there's no question that they've built a legitimate, powerhouse league that is to be contended with in every sport at every level. And so for us, this is certainly a step up in terms of competitive excellence. And don't get me wrong, Conference USA is also an excellent league competitively, but the American is a standard that we've aspired to reach for a long, long time here. And I also think that if you look at the visibility of this league and the credibility this league has built over the course of the last decade, the exposure on the ESPN family of networks, it just makes too much sense for the Charlotte 49ers to be a part of a league like that. So coupled with, as I mentioned earlier, the profile of the institutions, many of whom were former conference mates of ours in other leagues, particularly in Conference USA 1.0, and also the fact that these are largely urban-based universities, and with one exception, and that's an in-state rival down the road at ECU. So we could not be more thrilled about joining this great conference.
And we have seen this conference have to rise from the ashes. I mean, arguably, I said no other conference was hurt more a decade ago than what became the American Athletic Conference. Not only did they lose all of their membership except for 3 schools they had and one coming in Temple, but they lost the name. Football was gone. The Big East name was gone as well. The logo was gone, and they had to rebrand everything while building this conference. So to see what Commissioner Mike Aresco and the office have done at the American Athletic Conference to become what they are today, to see that story, can you liken any of that to UNC Charlotte saying like, hey, this is what we've done in a short amount of time and this is what the American's done? Do you see any parallels in these, and I said this to Mike, so don't take this as a negative thing. When Mike and I when we were at the first American Athletic, it was one of the early American Athletic summer kickoffs, I put my arm around Mike Aresco and I said, we're redheaded stepchildren and we're going to figure this out together. Because I was starting my company after working with ESPN and Fox affiliates and Yahoo affiliates. Started my company in 2012. The conference starts play in 2013. And I said, it's redheaded stepchildren. We're going to find a way to get it done. And he's definitely done that. Do you see parallels in their kind of rising Phoenix story that you also see at UNC Charlotte?
For sure. Incredible admiration for the growth and the quick growth of the American. And I think you could draw a parallel to our athletics program, and also, frankly, I think this, I think Mike has done a tremendous job, as has the conference office, the presidents and chancellors of that league and the ADs and all the coaches and athletes. They've all done a great job of building a high quality athletics conference. But, I also have always, not being a part of this league until now, as we join here in a year, it's a league that also, to me, looked like it competed with a bit of a chip on its shoulder. And honestly, that's exactly what we have done here at Charlotte. We have a chip on our shoulder here. This is a campus that, 15 years ago was regarded largely as a commuter school. It was, maybe not seen as in the same terms that it is today. And, I think we've done a lot to prove ourselves, but we still have a lot more to prove. And our fans feel that, our athletes feel that, our coaches feel that. And I've always felt that way in watching the American. I love how Mike has fought for the league and in the public forum to gain the credibility, help gain the credibility that it actually has earned on the field and on the court and deserves. And and also I think there's the fact again that league is still relatively new when you consider the brand of the league and the membership. It is similar to our football program here, right? We're making quick progress together, and so for so many reasons, this is a great marriage.
How do you do the dance of having one more year in Conference USA, respecting and appreciating the opportunity they gave you to come up to FBS, and at the same time get ready for the American? We're less than a year that you're joining the American on July 1st, 2023. So how do you live in the world of getting excited about what's to come, but also appreciating and competing for what is right now in Conference USA?
Well, we would not be playing FBS football without Conference USA, and so we are forever grateful for that opportunity. And again, we've been members of that league twice, before we had football as a member of the old Conference USA with, DePaul and Marquette and Cincinnati, some schools that are, in different leagues now, and then rejoined it a little bit later after we had a few years in the A-10. So Conference USA has been a really fantastic home for us. I think the world of Commissioner Judy McLeod, I think she is a class act all the way. She has the best interest of the student athletes in the institutions at heart always. And she's about the right things. So I will always be a fan of and a friend of Judy McLeod and what she's done for Charlotte and what she's done for me and for us. So we want to go into this final season and celebrate our final year in Conference USA and go try to be the most competitive team in the league overall. And we've talked about that already as a staff. We set records for ourselves the last 2 years for conference titles in this league. Let's go break it again this year in our final year of Conference USA. If you averaged our finishes for each team over the last 2 years, we have had the highest overall finish in Conference USA the last 2 years overall for all sports finished. So, again, I just think that for us, we want to go out, with a bang. We want to be respectful and thankful for the opportunity that this league has given us. But at the same time, we certainly have an eye on the future when it comes to recruiting and selling the future of our program. And so that's kind of what our philosophy is right now as we enjoy this final year in CUSA.
You're going to be able to make this move not by yourself, but with 5 other teams that you know all too well in Conference USA is FAU, UTSA, UAB, Rice, and North Texas will also be joining the American Athletic Conference as full members, just as UNC Charlotte will as well. What are your thoughts on that, getting to do this one more time in Conference USA with all of them, and then getting to carry those over? And are there any rivalries or any special pieces to those other 5 teams that you're excited about the fact that you don't have to say goodbye to them?
Well, I've got great relationships with all those institutions, and I think, when everybody was sort of wondering where things were going to be headed with expansion and realignment, in the end, you don't really control the process, right? You try your best to share your narrative. You try your best to tell your story, but in the end, none of us control the decision. So, happy obviously for us, but also happy for our colleagues. There's some really, really outstanding athletics directors in this league. The ones who are moving over with us are super talented. And they're all at some really great institutions in fantastic markets, which I think certainly contributed to their selection as well. So, yeah, I think, we've got great relationships, and we talk a lot, because the 6 of us all are, in a lot of ways, we share sort of the same situation, right? We're leaving Conference USA, moving to the American together, and sort of, helping figure this out along the way together. So it's, in a lot of ways, it gives you some comfort, in numbers as you move together as a group.
And in this movement that you're going to have together to look at this future and what's to come, it's going to be 14 for the first time ever. And are you, as a director of athletics at UNC Charlotte, speaking here with Mike Hill on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, would you like to see divisions? I mean, we're seeing, it's strange that conferences were trying to get big enough to form divisions because you had to have a certain amount of teams form your divisions so that you can have a conference championship. Now we're seeing the conferences do the opposite. The ACC is going to dissolve their divisions after this season. So the American let go of their division after UConn left and they went down to 11. They're going to be up to 14 now. Do you want to see divisions? Are you okay having 14 and let's just take the top 2 and have an opportunity of maybe having a similar model to the ACC and getting to play everybody a couple times over the span of 4 years? What are you more of a fan of, divisions or a 3-5-5 model or something of that respect?
Yeah, I think, it's the divisional format was put in place for the reasons you said. It was to adhere to an ancient rule about how you could stage a championship game. It's not going to be a requirement moving forward to do that. And I think it's in our league's best interest to try to make sure we put the 2 best teams in the championship game at the end of the season. So to do that, it's best to not have divisions, because otherwise, if you're just aligning geographically, there are many times, and I experienced this at Florida in the SEC, where sometimes one division was a lot stronger than another. For a long time, the Eastern Division in the SEC was much stronger than the West. And you had Florida and Tennessee and Georgia who were really sort of dominant on the East side. And then, of course, now you see what's happened on the West, and you've got Alabama and LSU and Arkansas and Auburn, and that division's gotten a lot tougher in the SEC. So you're not always putting the 2 best teams in the championship game when you have a divisional format. The other negative to playing a divisional format is that you miss playing opponents on the other side for an eternity. Yeah. I can remember, again, at Florida, we would go 10 years without hosting the University of Alabama or or Auburn University. You play each other twice in 12 years, once at home, once away. Well, that makes no sense, right? And that I don't think makes any sense in this league either. We want to have a chance to rotate opponents, to see one another, to play one another, or else why are you in the same conference if you're not ever going to see each other? So I'm a big proponent of sticking with a no division format and putting forth the best 2 teams.
And I can definitely appreciate that, Mike. And you're in Charlotte. Before I let you go, I love the city. Big fan of the city of Charlotte, North Carolina. I get to come down a couple times a year at least. What do you love the most about just Charlotte itself. I know you talked about it being a fast-growing city and everything that is there. The Carolina Panthers are there. We have the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Obviously, the Charlotte Hornets are there as well, and Charlotte FC, which I know you don't know this, but I'm going to let you know now. They are my favorite MLS team, so I decided to adopt them going into this season. And right before we got started, I made my final thing, like before they play a game, that's my team. So what is it about the Queen City? What do you love about Charlotte in and of itself? And about, maybe you could describe to some people, the heartbeat of Charlotte, so to speak.
Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge the Charlotte FC shout out because I'm a big fan as well. I just went to my fourth match of the season this past weekend, and I had a chance to see them defeat Chelsea a week and a half earlier. What a tremendous first year that this franchise has had. And, I think, again, it really reflects what's so great about this city. This is a city that, despite the fact that this is a city that's been around for a long time, but at the same time, I see this as a pretty young, growing, progressive city. And I think it frankly surprises a lot of people. I know I've had guests come to town and taken them into the heart of the city, which we call our downtown Uptown. And you bring them to Uptown Charlotte and show them sort of the skyline and the restaurants and all of our professional athletic facilities are right in the heart of the city as well. You can walk to all of them. People are stunned. They look around and they say, "This is Charlotte, North Carolina," and the answer is yes, it is. And the growth of this city is absolutely incredible as well. As you look at just all the new skyscrapers that have been built here just in the last 4 years since I first moved here is astonishing. The skyline already looks different. So what I think in the end really reflects Charlotte is, tremendous growth, sort of a youthful energy. There's a lot of pride in this area. This is a great sports city. This is a city that really was first a college sports town before the Hornets came around in 1988, and then the Panthers came about, I think, in maybe 95. So this was largely a college sports-based market. And even though pro sports have taken firm root in Charlotte, this city loves college sports too, for sure. And so, great climate, unbelievable, food scene here. You're an hour and 45 minutes to the mountains. You're 3 hours to the beach. You have an airport that's a hub, for American Airlines, so you can fly anywhere direct. I mean, it's hard to find anything wrong with this place. It's a fantastic place to live, and every single person who I've met who has recently moved here, they say the same thing. They feel that this is maybe the best place they've ever lived, and it's because there's just so much to do. So what a great opportunity for me and my family personally to have had a chance to move here and to work at this great university and to enjoy so much about it. It's just a tremendous quality of life.
And you're a Charlotte Hornets fan and a Carolina Panthers fan, so I'd love to get your thoughts on, first and foremost, the Hornets, because I'm a Raptors fan, became a Raptors fan when they came into existence, but before they did, my team, Charlotte, is the one I paid attention to. I got an old Charlotte Hornet hat. I got a new Charlotte Hornet hat. When they returned to Charlotte, I was at that first game and have the commemorative ticket to always keep there in my heart, being able to go to that game, which was an overtime game in the Hive where Kemba Walker was a big part of that victory. So Charlotte and I go way back to Larry Johnson, Grandmama, Muggsy Bogues, Kendall Gill, and all of that. So I'd love to get your thoughts on Charlotte, and then Carolina Panthers to talk football a little bit as a secondary piece here. You got about 19 quarterbacks on the Panthers right now. Who are you hoping? Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, the rookie Matt Corral? There's a lot to go there with a head coach that I know all too well in Matt Rule that I spent time with when he was at Temple. So I have ties to both of these franchises. I'd love to get your thoughts on them.
Well, again, like you said, a lot of great memories with the Hornets, all the names you just mentioned. I can go back to even to the first team. I mean, Kelly Tripucka and Del Curry and, just so much fun, watching that franchise basically, be born and to take root here in this incredible city and and then, to see the city lose the team in New Orleans and then get another franchise and rebrand it back to the Hornets was sort of a fascinating story. But I know a lot of the people over there at the Hornets organization, some really, really good people, obviously excited about LaMelo Ball and a lot of the good young talent that they have there. So, last year was a fun year to watch. They're a fun basketball team to watch, that is for sure. And I know, they didn't finish the way they wanted to, but, it was nice to kind of, get back into the playoffs, even if just for the play-in game. And hopefully this year they can have even more success and go farther. As for the Panthers, hey, I don't really care who the quarterback is as long as they have success. Honestly, I thought I applauded the move for them to sign Baker Mayfield. We'll see how it all shakes out. Between the three quarterbacks there, whoever wins the job, I hope succeeds and does great, and we'll be rooting for them all the way. We've got a lot of our fans who are also Panthers fans, and, we look forward to cheering them on this fall.
That coming from Mike Hill. Mike, definitely appreciate your time with UNC Charlotte. Last note here, for those who don't know the 49ers who haven't been around UNC Charlotte, why should they give you a chance? What is it about UNC that you would like to be a final note to share with everyone as a lasting thought here, that final word? What would you like that to be?
I would say if you play the stock market, this is the stock to buy. This is the stock that's on the rise, and we've continued to show that with incredible momentum. And this is a fun program to be a part of. So much momentum around not just our athletics program, but around our university and an incredible city. It's just a fantastic place to be, and we encourage everybody to pay close attention because we're joining this league not just to be a member, we're joining the American to compete for championships, and we look forward to doing that.
Couldn't have said it better there. I love that. If you're in the stock market, this is the stock to buy. Definitely love that. I think that might be the quote of the week from Mike Hill, Director of Athletics at UNC Charlotte. Mike, thank you for your time. I know it's your first time here on the show, but I'd love the opportunity to have you back again, and definitely looking forward to having you in the American.
You bet, Dan. Thank you so much, and go Niners.